Hello everyone. So today in this video we are going to learn about StaleElementReference Exception. Okay, so we'll be seeing two things. First, what is StaleElementReference Exception? Meaning, why do you see it? Okay, and next, what is the solution for it? Okay, so starting with what is StaleElementReference Exception or why does it occur to you? Okay, so guys, um, see, the name itself is saying stale element. That means element is stale. What does that mean? That means element is there. Okay, it's not saying element is not there. Okay, element is there on the page, but it has got stale. That means it cannot be used by Selenium. Okay, now if element is there in the page, why cannot it be used by Selenium? Okay, so let's try to understand. Okay, so okay, so consider this is your element on a page. Okay, now I wrote web element is equal to driver dot find element by dot id, and say I wrote try this ID. Okay guys, so consider I have an element on my web page whose ID is try this ID. Okay, and this is the element which I'm talking about. Okay, so what would happen? What is the very common case of stale element reference exception? Okay, say you have this element and with id try this id. Okay, you use this element to perform anything. Say I did element dot send keys my text. Okay, okay, so I wrote this is going to work for sure, right? Because my element is right, my locator is right, everything is correct, so it's going to work. But say I perform some operations and after that I'm trying to use this element again. Trying to use the same particular web element again. This time it's going to throw me stale element reference exception, right? That's the typical case when you see. Okay, anytime you see stale element reference exception, you'll see this happening. Okay, what is the exact scenario when you'll see this situation occurring? Between the time that you have declared that element and the time you have used that element, there is some difference in that time slot. That difference doesn't matter, but what matters is the operations that are being performed between this declaration and this implementation. Okay, so in that particular time period, like say, consider this is my line number 4. Okay, I need to write it a bit here. Say this is my line number 1 and this is my line number 6. Okay, this is my line number 1, this is my line number 6. So in between I had 4 lines, right? Say for example, by any chance, between your line number 1 and line number 6, any operation have been performed which had refreshed this web element. Okay, so if this web element has been refreshed, there is a big chance that you get this element, and like there's a big chance that when you use this element again, you may get stale element reference exception. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind, this is not applicable for all the elements. Okay, it's not like this is going to happen with everything. Now that depends on multiple scenarios that we are going to talk about right now. Okay, okay, so when I say this element got refreshed, what does that mean? See, refresh can be in two terms. Okay, first thing, there's a possibility that I have refreshed my web page. Okay, we have a command driver.navigate.refresh. You had some operations and you wanted to refresh, and then you refresh the page. Okay, another situation can be any click or something refreshed the page. Okay, there are auto refreshes sometime in some applications, right? That could happen. But the point is, in case of these two refresh, you can see that refresh happening. So in that case, if you see this StaleElement reference exception, then you can say that yes, my page got refreshed, and then I had then tried to perform this operation, so it has lost its reference, and therefore it's saying me StaleElement. Okay, but then there are cases when with this AJAX calls. Okay, what is this AJAX call? What this AJAX call does, guys, which are every click, your entire page doesn't get refreshed. Okay, only the elements that have been affected by that click get refreshed. Okay, I'll give you an example. We do book tickets by IRCTC, by GoIBibo, and many other websites, right? So whenever you select dates, based on your dates, your like train or flight schedules get changed and your price ranges get changed. Correct? So your entire page doesn't get refreshed. It's just that the data within that grid gets refreshed. Right? How does that happen? That happens because there's an AJAX call there. Okay. Why is this used? This is used to reduce your page load. Okay. See, reloading the entire page components and reloading only a specific section. You can imagine how does that reduce your page load, or how does that reduce the memory consumption. Correct. So this is a very common thing nowadays which is being used by developers. Okay, we don't realize that something has been refreshed, but something within the page does get refreshed. Okay, and when it get refreshed, what happens? Say I'm working on some airline sites. I say web element is equal to blah blah blah, and then there was some AJAX call. It internally got refreshed, which I didn't realize, but it did. And then when you're going to say element dot send keys, there's a great chance that you will get this tail element reference exception. Okay, what does that mean, guys? Do not go with changing its XPath. That's not going to work. Okay, the XPath remains the same. Even when you're getting stale element, at that point, if you go on a debugger and check this particular XPath, you are going to get the same XPath still. Okay, it's just that it cannot be used. Why? Because though the element is still in the DOM, though the element is still visible on the web page, but due to the refresh thing, it's fetching technique internally, though it's not visible to you in the HTML, but internally some JS for it or some properties of those elements have got changed. Okay, and therefore Selenium cannot access this particular web element. And therefore it says that stale element reference exception. That means though this element is there on the page, but the properties that I have stored for this element is no more present. The properties have changed. So the element that I have has got stale. So I cannot use it. Okay. In case it has got confusing, I'll just summarize it in one line now. Stale element reference exception occurs when you have a page, you have got an element reference. Okay, when I say an element reference, Selenium do hold some internal properties of those elements which is not visible to us in the naked eye. Okay, now after some AJAX calls happens, or in any way the page has got refreshed, there's a possibility that those properties of the element get changed internally. Okay, now Selenium has the old value, but the element has now got the new value, not externally, again internally. Okay, so when Selenium goes and try to use that web element, it tries to match that properties, the properties do not match, though the element is same, but the internal properties has changed, and thus it says I cannot use it, it's stale. Okay. Okay guys, so now we are going to see all of these in practical. Okay, so I'll move to my Eclipse real quick. Okay, so right now what I've done is I've just created a class, okay, and I have my pom.xml file where I have just added the dependencies. Okay, so I'll show you that. Okay, so here you see I just added a few simple dependencies for my code to run, and there's nothing else here. Okay, so coming back here, what I'm going to do. Firstly, obviously, I'll have to like launch my Chrome. So WebDriver manager dot Chrome driver dot setup. Okay, and then I can launch it. So WebDriver driver is equal to new Chrome driver. Okay, after that, okay, sorry. Okay, after that, I need to put implicit wait. Guys, please make practice of putting implicit wait because this tells implicit wait actually waits for the element to be present in DOM. Okay, so sometimes few elements do take some time to get loaded, and if Selenium tries to find it before and it doesn't, so it instantly throws. Okay, so what we do here is we tell that okay, don't throw an instant exception. Wait at least for 10 seconds, okay, for some element to be present in DOM, and if you still don't find it, then you're free to go through an exception. Okay, so let's not focus more on that. Okay, so I'll go to my URL driver.get. Okay, I have my URL here, so I'll copy and I'll paste. Okay, so first let's go to this URL and see how how does this look. Okay, so I'll run. Okay, so my browser is launched. And now it's navigating to that particular URL, right? Done? Okay, so I have not closed the browser, so it will not get closed. Let us inspect this page a bit, okay? So what are we going to do here, guys? You see the social buttons here? Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, Google, YouTube, right? So what are we going to do is we'll just fetch these web elements first. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to click on this Facebook, get the title, come back, click on this Twitter, get the title, come back, and so on. Okay, but before that, I'll get the web element of all these five. Okay, so for that, I'll say F12. So I'll open my dev2. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so see these five anchor tags, right? So I'll take this div, okay, and I'll say I want all the anchor tags within this div. So, okay, let me take this one and I'll say I want a div which contains class this one. Okay, so okay, I've put a dot, I should have put comma. Okay, oh guys, but the problem is I'm saying one of two. Okay, so there is somewhere the second element which matches the same expert, and this is the first one. So I'll have to do something. Okay, so let us take this div, right? So I'll say I want this div whose class is this, and within that find a div which contains class social pattern. So now you see we are getting one of one, right? And I'll say I want all the anchor tags with that. So you see here guys, we are seeing one of five. That means it's matching five web element, right? So first is Facebook, second is Twitter, third is Google, fourth is LinkedIn, fifth is YouTube. Okay, so let me pick this expert, go back to my Chrome, sorry, Eclipse. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'll take a list of web element. Okay, list of web element, I'll name it social buttons is equal to driver dot find elements by dot expert this. Okay, and then let me import java.util.list. Okay, now I'm going to iterate through this web element. Okay, so for int I equals to 0, I less than social buttons dot size, right? I plus plus. So this loop is going to help me iterate over this list, social buttons list, right? And for now, let's say I want just to print, okay, that social buttons dot get of I dot get attribute href. Okay, so what it will do, it will iterate over this particular list. Okay, then social buttons dot get of I, it means it will get its zeroth. First time i's value 0. So here I will be 0. So it will get the zeroth index of this list, right? Zeroth index of this list means the first one, right? This one. So, and it will tell me, okay, get attribute href. So its href attribute is this, and it will get printed. And the same will be repeated for all the anchor tags. Okay, let's see. Okay, and in the end, I'll say driver done. Quit. I do not want you. Go and shut down. Okay, okay, let's run. Great. So see here guys, we have got all of these hrefs printed, right? That means my code is working fine. I'm getting all the social buttons linked correctly. Correct? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, okay, here what I want right now again is, so see here guys, right now my code is like working fine, right? It is passing. I'll do one thing for a better visibility. I'll remove this public static void main. Okay, so let me write @test. So I'm converting it to test_ng. Okay, public void, maybe validate all social buttons. Okay, so nothing much. I've just converted it to my test_ng. Okay, so that we can see that pass fail in my reports. Okay, so now what are we going to do is, like we discussed before, I'll click on the Facebook link, come back, click on Twitter link, come back, and everything. Okay, so I do not want this anymore. What I want to do is, okay, so I want to click is what I said, right? So get the indexed element and then click on it. Okay, I want to print the title of that page where it has reached. So driver get title, right? So if we click on the first link, it will print its title. After that, I want it to come back to my main page. So I'll say driver dot navigate dot back. Okay, so I'm performing three things. Click, get the title, come back. So click, get the title, this thing, right? And then come back. Okay, similarly again, click, get the title, come back, click, get the title, come back, and so on. Right. So. Okay. Let's run the code and see what happens. Okay. So it has, oh, I forgot to maximize the browser. Anyway, so it has loaded. It has clicked on Facebook link, right? You see, we have navigated to this facebook.com. Okay. It should now go back. Okay. It's being redirected back to my main page. and it threw an exception, right? I want it to go back again. So let's see what's the problem is. So I'll bring it here. And as expected, stale element reference exception, element is not attached to page domain. So this is what we discussed in the initial minutes of the video, right? So we saw the page got refreshed and after that it wasn't able to like hold a reference for other elements and thus it got failed, right? So because reference of all the 5 anchor tags were taken in the very first place and then we want to iterate all over, right? But that instance had been overridden when the page got refreshed and thus it is telling me that it is stale. To confirm, I'll also take the line number, okay? So, right, while clicking on it, it said that no, I didn't get the reference on this get of I and it threw an exception, right? So what's the solution for that? Right? So there is only one solution for it, guys. Like I said, Selenium do hold some properties. Okay? After page gets refreshed, those properties get refreshed. Right? Now when it is going to fetch that element is present, but that properties have changed. Therefore, Selenium is not able to recognize or basically work on that element. Okay? So the solution for that is you'll need to re-initialize your element. Okay, so what is this thing going to do is this thing will reinitialize all your elements, right? So next time when you start saying that okay get of I dot click, this thing is going to work in that case. Okay, because it has again taken the reference, so it again has a new properties, so it will take the property, it will again get refreshed, it will again take the new property, right? Okay, let's run and see if our code works this time. But before that, I'm going to maximize my browser also. So driver dot manage dot window dot maximize. Okay, so let's run it now. Okay, so my page has launched. It got maximized. It clicked on Facebook. Okay, right now it will go back. Okay, so it clicked on Twitter now. Right. Now it's going back again. Okay, clicked on Google. Okay, so going back to my page, LinkedIn, back, and now YouTube. Right? It will go back to my page again now. And my browser closed. Right? Test run 1, failure 0. Okay, so my code worked. So this is the entire concept of StaleElement Reference Exception. Okay, reason is only one. Your element has got refreshed either intentionally or unintentionally. Either you have refreshed or it has got refreshed via AJAX or something, but it has got refreshed due to which its internal reference has changed. So what Selenium is saying is I can recognize that element but I cannot work on it because it's some initial internal properties have got changed and thus it's giving me a stale element reference exception. Okay, there can be two solutions for it, guys. One is this, okay, that like you don't know if its properties have changed or not, right? So there is a possibility that its internal property has changed. So in that case, re-initialization is the only solution. Another, after page has got refreshed, the reference or the internal properties may stay the same, but it may take some time for that element to get associated to that properties. Okay, that can also be the case. That properties may still remain the same, but it may take few seconds or few milliseconds to get those properties associated to your web element. Okay, so in that case, your explicit wait should work for you. Okay, just put the explicit wait on that web element to be clickable or for its staleness to be removed, and then operate on it, and you should be good to go. Okay, that's all for this video, guys. Thank you for watching. Do let me know for any questions in the comment section. Happy coding, happy learning. Bye bye.